This is Sergio with Cage Side Press. I am joined today by UFC welterweight Dwight Grant. How you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty good. How you doing, man?
Not too bad. So it's been a while since we last spoke. So first things first, I'd like to talk a little bit about your year. I mean, crazy year. I think last time we spoke was back in like maybe May or June. So what's life been like personally with the pandemic and everything?
I mean, it's been getting better. Places are starting to open up more. We've been able to actually go places as a family together, which has been pretty cool. Kind of surreal in a way. Kind of just taking things in and seeing the reactions of people outside. And it's getting better. Even yesterday, we went out. We went out as a family. We're planning on going out again this weekend. So it's been pretty good.
Do they have mask protocols and things like that where you're at?
Yeah, I mean, it's a little more relaxed now, but some places, you of course you can't get in without a mask. For restaurants, you can't get inside. You can't eat inside some places, but then some places also are letting you eat inside without a mask. So it just depends on where you go. Just bring your mask and just in case, and you'll be fine.
So, couple of fights since we last spoke. The first one was an all-out war, was the way I put it, with Drod. I thought it was an amazing fight. Obviously, you had him hurt. Didn't end up going your way. When you look back on that fight, what lessons did you take from that fight?
Well, I mean, the most important thing was just to secure position first. I think in that fight, when I was looking at it more from a standpoint of points and structure. Because I've been fighting MMA for a while. As a matter of fact, it's gonna be my 10th year this year as a professional. So I've been fighting for a while. And there's a structure to winning a fight by knockout. Either you knock them out cold, it's out cold. Either that, or you knock them down. You start hitting them. The referee says, "Fight back, and then it's over. The next thing you see is the referee's back. Just waving his hands. And I'm accustomed to that structure. And in that fight, I heard the referee say, "Fight back" twice, and I was like, well, it's over. Let me just empty the gas tank in case this guy's trying to, and it was going on for a while, and I got into that mode because I was like, okay, well, I'm just gonna finish the fight no matter what, So I think in situations like that from now on, I'm gonna be more okay, secure position, make sure they can't move, and then finish the fight because it's a fight. It's not a point system. It's not I mean, those are involved, but it's not for that. It's for me to go out there and finish fights. Some fighters, they can't do that. They finish fights other ways, and that's fine. However you do it is just your style or your makeup, your being, But my way of finishing fights is by KO. So I got to make sure I'm able to do that every time, no matter what. And if the referee doesn't stop it, it's going to be the referee's fault. I think one of the great things my coach told me was it's not your responsibility to protect the well-being of your opponent. You know what I mean? You gotta finish the fight. And that resonated with me really well. So I'm going for the finish every time now.
Yeah, it was an amazing fight. Obviously, tides turned, and he ended up taking over the fight. But when you look at D-Rod's career, I mean, you did better against him than anybody else. Is it a little bit bittersweet when you see him, get the fight with Mike Perry and move up in the rankings, and he's arguably on the cusp of the top 15? Is it a little bit bittersweet when you look at it, knowing
nice. No, not really, because I mean, even though it happened that way, I was actually happy for the dude. It's weird. Okay, so I was angry in the moment, but I knew that I couldn't do anything to change the situation. So even if I would have screamed and cursed and that crazy, nothing would have changed. It just been it's a video of me acting crazy, So, but when I took a step back in the moment, I looked at how happy this dude was, and I was like, you know what? This guy came and fought me on not even a day's notice, a couple of hours notice, because we were both supposed to fight other people, and he got the win, and he's really happy right now. It's whatever. He's happy. Going forward, I mean, I want to see the best for him. I don't want to see him losing and having a bad career. I mean, because if that's the case, then what was the point of beating me? You know what I mean? It's just a waste. So I'm happy to see him moving up and stuff like that. And it doesn't really bother me. Only thing I can say is that I do want to get into the top 15, top 10. So I mean, I'm trying to make my way up there, make my case for it.
You just had a bounce back performance, looked very good against Stefan Sekulic. You secured the victory. Like you said, you like knocking guys out. You won by a decision. When you look back and you reflect on it, how do you assess your performance?
Yeah, when they asked me that in the octagon and in that day, I was kind of down on myself because it felt like the fight was slow. Like it felt like nothing happened. It felt like I was like, just like, trying to hit this guy, and like we weren't doing anything. But then when I watched the fight, when I got home, I was like, man, I was active the whole time. Like I was trying to hit this guy the whole time. I promised. I told my wife, I told my friends, I'm knocking this dude out no matter what. You know what I mean? And that was my energy going into it. And because I made that like stern decision, you know what I mean? Like it's just firm decision to knock this guy out. Like when I was walking to the cage, I felt so relaxed. I was like, I know what I'm going to do. Like there's nothing that's going to happen here that's going to detract me from my like plan. I think that's a major problem for a lot of people. Like, fighting or whatever it is. Like, if you don't know what you're going to do exactly, then there's room for doubt. And that's something that I picked up from that fight too, because I knew what I was going to do. The problem was for me and why I was kind of down in the moment was it was very frustrating trying to hit this guy while he was backing up and moving to the right. And then I ended up injuring myself in the fight. Like around in the second round, I hurt my leg, and I was like, well. I got to make some adjustments here, and try to still get this finish, because it doesn't matter what happens. If I don't win with a knockout, I didn't fulfill my promise, So I was trying for it the whole time. So I think it was good in terms of the effort. I don't think I've ever put that much effort in trying to win a fight, to be honest. Even one fight takedown, which I usually don't do. But I think moving forward, I'm gonna have to do more things that kind of take me away from just what I want to do. Like if I want to knock somebody out, I'm gonna take them down a little bit, beat them up, get them tired, pull their head, hit them some uppercuts, something to get them to slow down and stop backing up, or make them afraid to back up, so I could finish the fight.
You said you got hurt in the fight. Is there any lingering injuries afterwards, or was it just a minor tweak?
Nah, I tore my hamstring. not like I don't have to get surgery. I got an MRI the week I got back, and they just told me they told me yesterday, matter of fact, I'm gonna have to do PT and wait a couple months before I can fight, because I was actually trying to fight in June, but that's not gonna happen now. So I'll just buy my time a little bit and work on some stuff as best I can, and then try to hop back in there as soon as hopefully August and September.
So one of the neat things about that card was it was the first card back with fans, and you were one of the first fights to come out. How cool was that experience to walk out and hear that noise again?
Man, just walking into the stadium, I'm talking about just walking in from the outside, not walking in to go to the fight, but just walking in. You could see people sitting in the stands from behind curtains. So if you look up, you see a little hole, where the wind is blowing, and it spreads the curtain a little bit, and you can see people just cheering. So immediately, excitement. You know what I mean? Immediate excitement. For me, the fans are the main reason that I fight. You know what I mean? It's like I don't know if that makes sense, but I used to fight in the amateur shows, and it was fun, and it was a lot of cool stuff. But the main thing was just I wanted more people to see me fight, because my friends would be so excited about it and have such a good time. I'm like, man, more people that can see this, the more people are gonna have fun. And fighting without the fans was still cool, but it was more I'm just doing this for me, and of course I care about myself and love myself, but it's when I see other people having a good time, it kind of raises my spirits. And in that fight, even in that fight I just had, he got me in a guillotine at the end, and I could hear people screaming, and as I heard it, I felt more energized. I was I'm not gonna tap from this. This is ridiculous. I hear people cheering. I saw people standing up. It was crazy. So it definitely affected me in a positive way.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys that have said the same, but almost the other way around. Sometimes that the crowd is too much for them, or they they get too overzealous and they start swinging too heavy. It didn't seem to affect you. It almost seemed like you were still calm and composed. Do you attribute that to years of experience, or what do you think that is?
I think it's experience, but also because I'm a fan of the sport. I guess we all have to be to some extent, but okay, so I'm getting choked, right? And here's what I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about all the times I've been watching UFC on TV and watch somebody getting choked. I'm like, yo, all the times I'm like, don't tap. And I was like, all right, buddy, here you are. Here's your turn. What you gonna do? And I'm thinking about that and thinking about, my friends and family watching it and being concerned, all these things, but it's all coming from the perspective of like just being a fan, so it constantly like was just energizing me the whole time. I feel like if it overwhelms you, it's probably because you're thinking about what they're thinking, but if you remember what you think when you watch fights, it's usually pretty positive. You might not like one fighter. Let's say you don't like one fighter, but you're still having a good time. You're still enjoying the fights. That's why you're there, especially if you come to the fight. But even when you're watching at home, you're enjoying it. So it's a positive energy thing happening, regardless of even if you really, really don't like one guy, you're still having a good time. So I know that's happening there, and it just gives me a little bit of joy, a little bit of excitement.
As a fan of the sport, I'm sure you went back and you got to sit down and enjoy the rest of the rest of the fights. What was your thoughts on one of the fights that happened early on in the main card with Chris Weidman?
Oh man, that was something that man, I feel the word horrifying isn't even strong enough, and not just because it happened at all. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's happened to Anderson Silva too. And it's terrible to see. But with Weidman, the reason that it was so it was so messed up is because it was just like, he's trying to come back. You know what I mean? Like he had some losses, he's trying to come back and establish himself. Because when he was a champion, he was beating everybody. He wasn't a champion that was I was champ for like one fight. No. This dude champion for a while. He was beating everybody. So he had like a era of invincibility. So you kind of like attribute that to him no matter what. Even like Anderson Silva. We see Anderson Silva fight to this day. Even if Anderson Silva is like 60 years old, I don't care. And he's fighting somebody, I'm like, my money's on Anderson Silva. It just you can't help but to feel that invincible aura still surrounding this guy like years later. So with Weidman, it felt the same way. I mean, Uriah Hall obviously had different plans, and I really was cheering for Uriah Hall at the time. But I mean, when you saw that happen, it was just like, Jesus Louise, that happened to Weidman. And then, he has to take a break now and until he comes back. It's going to come back a little further down. So I think that was all encapsulated into one moment where I just like, oh, and then you thought about everything and you fought for the guy,
Yeah, as someone who's kind of gone through those injuries, what's the hardest part about coming back? Is it the physical rehab, or is it the mental hurdle? Like, oh my God, I don't know if I'm going to get over this.
I think it's the mental hurdle is the way more troublesome than the physical one. And I feel these things can kind of seem cliche when people talk about it, because I know for years I've heard people talk about like he's coming off of an injury, and then they talk about it, and I'm watching the guy give the interview, and I'm just like, yeah, okay, get to the fight, But when it happened to me, getting an injury and having to have surgery and stuff like that, it was the fact that you couldn't train and you couldn't do the things you normally do to calm yourself, soothe yourself, whatever you want to call it, to calm down. Like you might go for a run, or you might jog, you might shadow box, you might if not any of that, just like play with your kids or do something, whatever. But you can't do any of that because you're injured. And anything you do, even in good spirits, could end up injuring you out of the blue. Like I remember when I tore my bicep, I went to the pool with my son, my wife. And my son, he just pulled my arm out of the blue. He pulled it out of the blue, and I was like, you can, and it's not his fault. But even you realize that you're not safe anywhere. Now, Weidman's injury is obviously way different. He's going to be, dealing with being in bed and stuff like that. But I feel like when you come back, there's so much you have to do to keep yourself in the mindset of competition than you did before, because everything is now new to you. I mean, if you've been an athlete your entire life, you've been training your entire life, there probably has not been moments where you felt weak, I'm talking about weak, you just can't lift up 100 pounds. I'm talking about just that too, but you haven't had to ask for help so much and rely on people so much and have, just be vulnerable all the time. And that in itself can be tiring. And you have to learn to accept that if you want to move on and get back into it, because injuries are humbling, man. You think you're invincible. The first time I ever got injured in a fight, seriously, I hurt my neck. I got slammed in a Muay Thai match, and I was thinking I went onto the ER that same night, and but I won though. I won, but I was thinking man, I've watched so many movies and seen so many videos, people getting slammed in their head and they get up and they're fine. I never once thought, what if that guy went to the ER later that night? You know, you started like to think about injuries and think about damage differently after you get injured. And it takes a lot of work to get yourself back into that mindset of I'm unstoppable, no one can hurt me, and then go fight somebody. You know, so I think that's the biggest part, is the mental part.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely horrific as a fan, and I can only imagine what it's like as a fighter and someone like you're back there, you're watching him. I mean, you throw kicks as well, so you know there's that fear, you know. So it was interesting to hear it from a fighter's perspective. And now back to you. I mean, you said you want to get in the top 15. You've got a little bit of an injury there that you're going to try to rehab. You want to get back in August. Is there a name? Is there a route to the top 15 you're looking at? Is there someone that you think might help you get there?
I mean, anybody that's up there, you know, like, I mean, no, seriously, because it's like, you know, I don't want to call people out, you know, like, and just be like, okay, I want to fight this guy, I want to fight that guy, because I tried doing that, and then like, not calling them out in public, but ask my manager, how about this guy, how about that guy, and these guys tell me no all the time. They don't want to fight me, they want to fight somebody else. And I can't blame them, you know, not even about getting beat up, you know, just because like they want to try, they're going to the top 15 too. So I know that I have to get to the top 15, not just because I want like the notoriety of being up there, but because that's the only way I can get to fights that I want. Like if I'm a top 15 and I challenge a guy, or top 10, I challenge a guy that's around there, he'll fight me more than likely, you know, because he had nothing to lose in a way. I think most people, the fighters, are afraid of losing in the eyes of the fans, in the sense that like, oh, you lost an unranked guy, like, you know, like, so you're not that good, which is crazy because there's guys like that are not ranked that are super dangerous fights. Like, I mean, they could be really, really terrible if they fought a guy that was in top 10. I mean, obviously I'm saying that because I'm not ranked, you know, but also, but outside of me, there's people I feel that could like tear through the top 10. And I see these guys in my weight class, and I see them, you know, and when I get asked to fight any of them, I'm gonna say yeah, because in my personal, you know, my personal journey, you know, whatever. Like I want to test myself against the best guys, because I'm not gonna be able to fight forever, unfortunately. And when I'm done, I don't want to be looking back and being like, man, I should have fought this guy because I would have, you know, learned this, I would have did that. Every fight is gonna force me to become better or get beat up. You know, you make a choice. You know, you can get better, you get your behind whipped, and there's no better motivation than taking a behind whipping to improve at, well, almost anything, to be honest, but especially in a fight. So I'm gonna try to fight these guys. Guys like let's see, yeah, Cowboy and Nico Price. Like I'm thinking about these kind of guys to fight, because I want to fight somebody right now that is gonna fight me in my face, in the pocket, swinging. I heard the commentators in my fight saying like some weird things, but one thing they were saying like you know, it's not smart to stand in the pocket with me. I'm like, I think watching it later on, I'm like, yo, there's guys who will stay in the pocket with me. It's not a matter of being smart. It's just a matter of having the confidence to fight. Because if you look at guys like Mike Tyson, there's guys who went 12 rounds with Mike Tyson, you know, and they didn't run the whole fight. You know what I mean? Like they had the confidence to fight him. And yeah, I mean, obviously they got beat up too, but they still had the confidence to beat it. It's not a guarantee. And I mean, look at the Buster Douglas fight with Mike Tyson. Like you can't sleep on anybody and expect them to just lose because you've been winning all the time. You know, you have to treat everybody as a credible threat for being up to the you know, the part in their career in the sport where they can challenge you. So a guy like, I guess I'm saying Nico Price, like a guy like him, who I just saying his name because I just watched him. I watched like a clip of him fighting the other day. You know, like who will get in your face and swing. Cowboy will get in your face and try to point you out, clash you, and do damage and beat you up. These people exist. So right now, I'm more focused on getting a fight with somebody who's gonna fight me, and it's gonna be fun to where I'm excited, the fans are excited, and you know, I know that we're gonna throw down. You know, I'm not gonna have to worry about like this guy backing up the whole time. And wait, before I stop, no shade or you know, insults to you know, to Sekulic, because that was his game plan and he did what he had to do. But you know, I just want to fight somebody that's gonna stand in front of me. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, stylistically, got both of those matchups, both Cowboy and Nico Price. That's a perfect fight. Like that's what, you know, it's a great stylistic matchup. Sekulic came off that layoff too, right? So he was more cautious and hesitant. I want to ask one last question before I let you go. I mean,
oh, cool.
Just a couple weeks out from your fight, what sorts of things do you get up to when you're, you know, not training, not in camp, you're training but not in camp and not you know, prepping for a fight?
I mean, playing video games is usually like the first thing I go to. I get to play for longer hours and like like stay up later, not worry about waking up super early. Reading a lot of stuff, a lot of different books. Listening to music. Well, video game music. I really like video game music. So like I started collecting like vinyl records for it recently. So I'm like super into that. And hanging out with my family and just going around, man. Like going outside and hanging out with them, because I feel like when I'm fighting, I can't really enjoy things. I'm talking about like in camp. I can't enjoy things 100% because like 30% of my mind is like, yeah, you got to fight in a couple of days, man. you got 2 weeks. This is countdown. The same people always ask you like when you're fighting, like, oh, when's your fight? Now you told them when your fight was like multiple times, but they ask, and it's kind of a thing where you feel like you're being reminded again, and then you kind of fall back into that competitive mindset. When I'm in the mindset of trying to compete, I can't really enjoy like like looking at nature and like reading like some ethereal book of like wisdom, because my mind is focusing on fighting. So I try to do all the fun and calm stuff when I'm not fighting. And I don't have like a date yet. And then as soon as I get a date, all that stuff gets put gets dropped, and I'm just playing video games, cutting weight and training, and that's it.
All right, and then one last question to end on here. Is there anyone you want to thank? Any sponsors or family or anyone you want to thank before we end it?
Oh yeah, well, a bunch of people, especially from my last camp. My team Alliance, the guys at Tech, I was working with Phil Davis and Emiliano, and like a bunch of guys over there in my last camp. My strength conditioning people at Electrum, he helped me out a lot. I mean, I would not have been able to survive that choke in the end if I was out of shape and out of breath. I'd have been like gasping for air. And then my family, my wife, and my son. My wife especially, because she's been making me a lot of food that's been helping to cut weight. Like, I'm a vegetarian, so it's hard for me to like find like like food that fills all the requirements you need for training. I can't just get protein from just going and getting like chicken and salad or whatever it is. I need special like things. She's been hooking me up with those, and that's been excellent. And everybody, I said a lot of people, but then like now I'm thinking about it, I can't think about anybody else. But there was a lot of people involved that helped make that fight possible. My management company, Abe and everybody like at First Round Management, they helped me out so much to make sure I was able to get in there and stay focused, and be able to get the win. It's a lot of work being able to fight. And people think about it as a singular, like a solo sport, because they see us. But hey, that team, the 3 people in your corner, yeah, that's one part of it. But then you got the whole gym, And if the gym is not behind you, if the people are not giving you positive energy, you're not going to be able to go out there and perform the best of your ability, because you're going to be fighting on multiple fronts. Like, I was able to go into this fight and only focus on my opponent. Everything else taken care of. And that's something that I got to thank everybody else for. It's not just me.